Hey everyone, before we jump into the episode here, we had a little section where Josh talked about Hogwarts Legacy, and as you can hear, his mic went a little funky. We kind of just rolled with it. Yeah, he's here right now. You can listen to that crisp, clear mic, everyone.
It's better.
He's very sorry. He won't stop apologizing. So just a little heads up. It's only a small section of the podcast, and you can absolutely hear what he's saying. So just stick with it. He has some interesting stuff to say. And yeah, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Big Bandit Gaming. I'm your host, Troy, and today we have Colton.
I'm not mad, you're mad.
Izayah.
Hello, Mr. Colton.
And Josh.
What's up?
Man, how you guys all doing?
We're doing good. I'm doing
We're
fine,
here.
Troy. I'm fine. It's okay.
You sound like something's bothering you, Colton. Is it me? Do I need to go?
Is
It
Troy,
is you.
is Troy
okay.
spiraling on the podcast?
You guys don't know what happens till we hit record, but we might have just had a friendship ending argument.
It's huge falling out.
We got to record this. We just got to get through this.
Hey, audio listeners, I got water in front of me, and it looks like Sprite. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, hey, there's a lot of games, but before we jump into games, I want to ask Colton something specifically.
Oh, great.
Colton, you are now on an anime journey, and I want to know how this happened, why this happened, and why you decided to do it after I moved away.
Okay, well, I don't know how it happened, but I do know where it happened, and where it happened was One Punch Man. And I have you to thank for that, Troy.
That show's amazing.
I don't remember where we were, but I remember you putting it on. I watched that first episode, and I was like, all right, I'm going to watch all of it like today. So that got, and of course, I guess that's not like I guess a lot of people probably wouldn't call it like a real anime, but that got me into being like, oh, maybe I do like some animes. That was freaking hilarious and awesome. And then I didn't watch an anime for like 3 years after that.
I know.
But I remember people were talking, I kept hearing people talk about Attack on Titan. Season 2 just ended at the time I started. I was like, oh, let me try this. And man, I'm hooked. It's like Attack on Titan has got to be like in my top 5 favorite shows of all time now. It has to be, and it's not even done yet. And I don't even care how it ends. I know it'll be in that spot. So then I went to you, asked what's the next one I should watch, and I know you said Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but there's also one that you're currently watching that is still coming out episode by episode or week by week, and that is Vinland Saga. And wow, that one is freaking awesome too. I love that Viking crap.
Yeah, it's really good Viking crap.
Often when Troy recommends a certain piece of media to you, the friend, you know you're probably in it for a good ride, like genuinely.
Yes, but let me say, what am I? 10. I can't remember if I'm 10 or 12 episodes into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I am not sure about it yet.
Really?
Ooh,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I think it's got... I think I figured out the one thing about animes that's always been kind of like a deterrent for me, and it's kind of like when they get super goofy and like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. You know, like whenever something happens,
like
and
Team
the character
Rocket blasting off again.
Yes, yeah. They get like really like you know, all the detail in the character goes away, and they're screaming in the background, and there's like little things. I don't know. There's something about that just kind of.
It's funny you say that. I can see why you stayed away for so long, because I would say like 95% of anime is that.
Yeah, and
like,
that's why. And I thought that was 100% of anime. But turns out I like the really serious dark ones like Attack on Titan, and so far Vinland Saga. Like, I guess the more dark it is, the more I'm going to like it. Which is why I'm excited to, at some point, start Death Note.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you can watch that free on YouTube starting yesterday.
Really?
By
What?
the way.
What?
Yep. Death Note, Hunter x Hunter, and I forget, like a few others are just free on YouTube now.
Dude, Hunter x Hunter? I'm actually enjoying that.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's cool.
That does really sad me because like
that's my anime journey. Aaron did nothing wrong. I'll die on that hill. So
yes. Well, don't give up on Full Metal yet. Maybe give it.
I know. I'm going to keep watching it.
Give it a few more episodes and see where you're at.
Hey, that dog episode, I freaking loved it. And
yeah,
I was like, okay, maybe this show is going someplace. And then the very next episode, they had a scene where they were like, and I was like, oh my god, you just freaking lost me. God dang it. But I'm going to keep watching it.
Oh my god, that dog episode! There are a good amount of episodes that hit that
like
hard.
Really, it's insane.
Yeah. But that dog episode is definitely the first episode where you're like, oh god, I didn't see that coming.
I did not. Yeah,
it's such a like staple in the show that it traumatized the entire like fan base of it.
Yeah. All right. So what about you guys? How was your week? Anything to say before we jump into games?
Yeah, I'm back at my
tangents.
Yeah. I got back in my hobby of manga. I'm not much of an anime watcher like at all. I don't even watch shows that often. Breaking Bad's my current like show to watch. And then like I'm much more of a movie junkie. Like I love movies right now. Watching Interstellar, Swan Song, Battleship. Oh god, what's it called? Starship something. It's from
Starship Troopers.
Yes, I watched that recently.
That's a great
I actually
movie.
really like that movie for what it is. It's surprisingly aged well. So I've been watching a lot of movies with my buddies. Me and Colton, Victoria started watching Shrinking on Apple TV. Great show.
Apple TV has some of the best shows right now.
God, yes. You
did you guys see the trailer for Tetris?
Yes,
I did.
You say that.
Yeah,
it's so good.
For that.
Me too.
That looks good.
Speaking of which, punches, bro.
Speaking of which, I just found out that the runtime for the Mario movie was going to be like 93 minutes.
Yeah,
which is like super short.
I mean, standard. Like look at Puss in Boots.
It's normal for like kids movies.
Yeah.
But I guess you're right.
Yeah,
were the Lego movies that short? I feel like those Lego movies were long.
I feel like they were shorter than that. I thought in my memory.
Really? Okay.
I could be so wrong.
I'm just maybe remembering wrong, but I'm very excited for the Mario movie. Like
hour
40 minutes. So like 100 minutes for the Lego movie. So pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then that makes sense. I guess the Lego. I guess that's true. Maybe I was just like, okay, I'm ready for this to end. Good movie, but have you guys seen the Puss in Boots yet? Because I've heard nothing.
No, I want to.
I really want to.
I have seen it.
I was going to mention it because it's a good example of like, it's a short movie. It's 90 minutes long, just as like the Mario movie is going to be. And that is like critically acclaimed, bro.
Yeah,
like,
I want to know, Josh, do you agree with it seems like everybody in the world that it's a really good movie?
So I saw it with my kids.
Oh.
And we kind of watched it on a whim. It's apparently it's an hour and 40 minutes as well. Anyway, it is one of the best animations I've seen. In a long time. It is so good.
Yeah,
like since Spider-Verse.
That's what everybody kind of compares it to. Yeah, the comparisons are because like there's some crossover.
I know it's getting kind of tired
and stuff. Yeah, I think it's just animation in general has taken like strides in advancing like with new technologies and things. They're bringing new art styles into animation.
You know what I think it is too? Oh, sorry. Continue.
No. What do you think?
I was going to say, I think like Disney has really plateaued on its like house style, like Disney and Pixar and stuff. So like literally anything that looks different and stylish, you're like, wow, this is something different. All right, let's go, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because for a while you had studios trying to mimic that kind of plasticky Pixar Disney look. And now it seems like they're finding their own way, and it's much more impressive.
You know who stayed on top?
Like, what's up?
DreamWorks. DreamWorks movies have always been like very like dynamic and different for me. I love
that.
Always.
I don't know about that.
Oh no, man. Go on.
There was a follow-up movie by the Spider-Verse people that came to Netflix.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
About the family,
Mitchells,
and that was
Mitchells,
Mitchells vs. Machines. That was really good.
That was a good movie.
Good movie.
Yeah. So people are still doing it. Disney's just like, I don't know, 10 movies behind. We're like, wait, people don't want what? Uh-oh. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
Cool. I feel like I'm cutting everyone off.
No, we're just all talking
Izayah,
over
go
each other.
ahead.
It's totally
There was
fine.
one I briefly mentioned the manga thing. I wanted to point out I love Chainsaw Man so far. I'm reading that right now. It's great. I really recommend it to y'all. And if you want to know where to read manga, go up Manga Dex on your desktop or phone. It's great. I really recommend it. Like, good manga. Anyways, that's all I've been doing. Movies, manga. Go on.
Cool. All right. Go on as in let's get into the games, because speaking of a lot coming out, I feel like, I don't know if it's not just me. Like the last month feels like 6 months of last year
I know.
worth of games have come out, especially this early in the year. So yeah, that's what we're doing this episode. We're just going to talk about what that has come out that we have played, because there's no way, even between the four of us, there was no way we were going to play everything.
No.
There's just been that much that has come out, and it's not our jobs, but we're glad you're here anyways. But let's I was thinking a good place to start. Josh, last episode, I think it was last episode, yeah, you talked a little bit about Fire Emblem Engage, and I saw recently that you'd been playing quite a bit more than I thought you were going to, the way you were talking about it last time. So yeah, how is Fire Emblem Engage?
Well, see, I paid full price for this game, so I had to get my money's worth out of it. Yeah, I played it for 60, 70 hours, something like that. It's I think it quite overstays its welcome. It's no Fire Emblem Awakening. I think Awakening really carried me through with its story, and Engage it's really playing to like celebrate the franchise. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that before, but I don't think it even does that very well. Everything's kind of shallow.
Every time I saw, like during the direct when they were introducing new characters, to me it was like, wow, look at these characters from better Fire Emblem games.
Well, yeah, and like the more recent trailers are like the DLC, like what are they called? I want to call them spirits. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're just you summon the heroes from the past games. The story doesn't make sense because I think it's kind of like a multiverse thing where you're like pulling in these characters, but it's not really them. It's their emblem form. What does that mean? They don't really get into it. It's just like, I don't know.
Like they're spiritual copies of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I played it like hoping that the story was gonna start making sense and having all of these emblems. I think is what they're called. The ghost like emblems was going to make sense. They're going to tie it all together, and they don't. Unfortunately, it's a very bare bones story. Really pretty scenes. Just the creativity behind the writing, or maybe just the translation over to English is just a lot weaker. Like we were talking about before, than like Awakening in the previous games. I haven't played Three Houses, like I said. I think you said that was also by this new translation team or the in-house team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Treehouse translation. I could be wrong, but it isn't 8.4, which did like all the localization for like Nier and Fire Emblem Awakening. Like they're really fantastic.
Yeah, and I just wish it was better. I mean, all I can say is I like Fire Emblem. I like the core gameplay. I don't think any game quite hits that same feel of strategy. Like I've been playing Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Really fun, but it doesn't really like scratch that same itch that I have for that kind of. You have what feels like an entire army, but it's probably about 10 to 12 characters on the map. And you get to move them around like you're playing a strategic board game. I like to be able to do that without having to like gather like 3 other people around a table. So I still appreciate it, but it's not hidden for me like I wish it would. So hopefully their next entry they can figure out a better story.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might skip this entry and jump in at their next, but yeah.
Also the character design of the main character, I know it's like everyone's talking about it, but it's just ridiculous. Even playing through it and like seeing where the story goes, like there's a reason. It's just a bad one. It's just disappointing.
I don't even know what you're talking about when you say that.
The main character has like
toothpaste hair.
It's like half red, half blue.
The Colgate look.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not even worth going into. Really, it's.
He's
Yeah,
giving up.
I'm
Damn.
tired. I put a lot of hours into this game. I'm
Dude,
tired.
60, 70, that's a lot. That's more than I put
Yeah.
into Three Houses. Like, and that's when I'm tempted to look at it. Like, whenever I see characters and cutscenes, I'm like, oh, like I don't like the design. I don't like what they're doing here. And then I see just like straight up gameplay of like characters on a field or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, yeah, that's right. Fire Emblem,
Yeah,
freaking
they
rules.
nailed like the animations on the battlefield. It can be
Yeah.
really fun in the moment, and then you get to the cutscenes, you're like, why? Why is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
here?
And it even looks a lot better, like technology wise, like the way they their technology backend has grown a lot since then too. So it just visually looks nice. So yeah, it is tempting, but I can wait.
Yeah.
I can wait.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on it is they've added a lot of systems, and it seems like they had a lot of good ideas, but they didn't really tie them together in a satisfying way. You end up having a lot of kind of rogue-like elements like on the map where it's like, oh, go do this skirmish to get some more experience. I didn't do a single skirmish, and I played through the whole game. Like it was just it was an optional feature that didn't really serve a purpose. It's like if you want to grind out, then like all your characters and make them all max level, you can. But is that really fun? That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I can see that. All right, well, I'm glad you got your money's worth. It sounds like.
I'm gonna sell it as soon as I can.
There you go. Yeah, that is a nice thing. You got it physical. That's not going to lose value. It's Nintendo, so
GameStop wouldn't even let me sell it to them because it was too new. Because I think I beat it within like the first week, and I was like looking up the trade-in value, and it was like, you're like, oh, it's not available for trade-ins. I was like, what? Why?
That's
I didn't know they did that for new games.
I don't know. It just wouldn't give me
I mean, an article just came out saying GameStop is like on its way out, like in really big trouble, more trouble than they've ever been.
Really?
So,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just have to see it to believe it at this point. I feel like I've been hearing that my whole life now.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it seems real this time, but
I better see my GameStop near my work blow up. If I don't see that, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I
So I
hear
gotta
if you
buy
walk by one, they just throw Funko Pops at you. So why would I come in?
Yeah, they have a lot of
Melted.
stuff on like sale. That's like a, what do you call it? When like you want to get rid of something, but like you put on sale.
Oh, clearance.
Clearance. They always got.
Oh, yeah.
They always got plenty of shit on clearance, bro. Plenty.
Oh, dude, yeah, just plastic nerd nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. Sucks.
All right. Well, moving on. Another big game that came out recently, I beat. That is a Dead Space remake.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So, okay. Dead Space remake. Before I even go into the game, I think it was talked about and advertised a little. Like, it's not the way I would have done it, because my impression coming into it, not following it super closely, was that it was going to be a more one-to-one like remake of the game. Like, it was going to be like a visual upgrade more than like, hey, we're redoing this game.
Right.
That was my impression. And it wasn't until just before release that they were like, yeah, and the anti-gravity. And I'm like, wait, like Dead Space 1 didn't have like free floating anti-gravity sections. That came later. And that's when I realized, oh, this isn't just like a graphics overhaul. They did some work on this. And so, yeah, it just made me think about how hard it is sometimes now to parse out what like is a remake, what's a remaster, what's a port. Like that stuff has gotten so muddy, because I heard a lot of people compare it to like a Blue Point remake, right? But Blue Point's whole thing is that they use the original code, like the original physics engine, the animation time, and they just make it look really pretty, And they'll like modernize some controls, but it's like really faithful. And that's not what this is. This is really like a ground up remake of Dead Space 1.
I had to ask though,
what's up?
is this the same team behind the recent game they had in December? Or is it a completely different team that is remaking Dead Space? Same with Blue Point.
Oh, no. You're thinking
Callisto?
of Callisto Protocol, totally different team.
Really?
Totally different team. It has some of the original Dead Space creators
Okay, that's good.
that were part of it, but it
Okay.
wasn't. It's not like this was an EA like Dead Space release. So this, it's a lot more than just like a remake of the first game. It's just kind of way larger in scope. It feels a lot more modern. When I say it's different, like they redesigned the layout of like levels and how they interconnect, and threw in like side missions, which were never a thing. Like I said, like free floating anti-gravity. So everything just feels like a modern like horror game. Um, and so yeah, I was like really impressed with it. Visually amazing. One of the first games to not be cross-gen, and you can like really feel it. It just like looks and sounds incredible. Another big difference between this and the original is since they have you can backtrack in this game in a way you couldn't in the original. It was kind of like super linear. So they can't make it to where, hey, you killed everyone in this section, now there's nothing to do. So they made a whole system to randomly spawn enemies in certain locations. So it kind of keeps you on your toes, because you're not sure what to expect. Because sometimes in games you can be like, oh, that was clearly like scripted and now I'm safe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there are scripted sequences, but there's never a feeling like, oh, I'm safe. Even in like rooms where you sometimes feel like, oh, this is something. I would say like 85% of the time it is, but there's like a 15% chance that something is going to jump at you in this small room. And that always keeps you like, okay, I'm gonna do this kinetic, this force grab at this thing, and I'm gonna walk with it for like 5 minutes. Even though my walk speed's half, I'm ready to throw something at a dude that jumps out. So yeah, just like a really solid. It's both faithful and it just makes that game so much more playable in like a modern sense. It's a perfect example of a remake, I think, to where it gives you it kind of gives you what players went through when they played the original, but kind of modernizes it and makes it more palatable. And it doesn't lose anything with it, you know? So yeah, if you've never played Dead Space, would I suggest that you play the original and this remake? No, it's not. I wouldn't do that. It's just, you can just safely go into this remake knowing this is like the best version of this game. And it fixes any problems the original had just from it being like a game from 2007 or 8. I forget when it comes out, but around that time, they've really fixed it, and they put together a really modern, awesome horror game that's totally worth playing. So yeah.
Now, I have a question for you, Trevor. But before we move on, I want to ask, we've been talking about how it's been like, like the remake. Like this is like a good remake. But I want to ask you, for just the base game itself, just the entree, is it fun? Is the writing actually like hold up from like 2007, 2008? And you could still recommend it like easily?
So, I mean, the original story, it was never about like the story and the writing and the characters. Like there's characters interactions, but it's pretty sparse. I think my main criticism of the game would be how it gets you from place to place. Like the core premise of the game is you're stuck on this old like giant planet cracker, like this big drilling ship, and everything's gone wrong. And the only thing that's annoying, like the way they push you through the story, is you're Isaac, a repairman, so you have to repair everything in the ship to get to like the next chapter. You'll be like, oh, go to the engine and turn on this, and then of course you press it and they're like, oh, this, so you got to grab this and this, and that's how you go through the environment. So that's the thing that's aged the worst. I wish there was a better way, like just like a more interesting way to guide you through the ship that isn't just like, you need to collect this part and go here,
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of the nature of wanting to keep it pretty similar to the original. But the best point of comparison to this game as a remake would be probably Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 is such a different game from its original. Graphically, obviously, this is a PS3 game to a PS5 game. Resident Evil 2 was like, a PlayStation 1 game to a pretty modern PS4 game. So it's not the same jump graphically, even though the new one looks leaps and bounds better. But it's just like they made they just like remodernized the game to where this could just Resident Evil 2 could just totally be an awesome new horror game.
Yeah.
And same with this. So I think it's just a really good jumping off point to I hope they actually do Dead Space 2, because I love Dead Space 2. It's a little more action based. And so it's just a really solid game, a little on the pricey side for what it is. You got to go in knowing it's going to be like a 14-hour game, but that's kind of what you're there for. But it's really good.
I'll get it. No, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So Dead Space Remake. Yes, if you guys haven't played it, I recommend it. Truly do, because there's just not a lot of good high budget horror games out there, especially after the Callisto Protocol.
There's not enough.
It's definitely worth it if that's what you're looking for specifically. All right. Well, let's move on. Colton, I see in your list you played Spiritfarer.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to play this since it came out. Just never had the time, I guess. I was always in the middle of a big game. And right now I'm not in the middle of a big AAA game. I'm kind of like bouncing around between a couple of smaller games. So I figured now that I have a 65-inch TV in my master bedroom, I can actually play games while laying down in bed and actually read everything on the screen, because I have horrible eyesight. So I was like, you know what? I want to start an indie game that I can play like 20 to 30 minutes of every night as I'm going to bed, like before I go to sleep for work the next day. So I was like, oh, this is perfect time to start that game. So I started it. I think I'm probably 4 hours into it. Probably about 4 hours into it. And so far, I'm liking it a lot. It's a really calm, just mellow game to play. I like the characters a lot so far. The story, I feel like they're intentionally not telling me everything, like the premise of the story. You're basically like the new, like Grim Reaper kind of, you're taking souls that have something, they need to complete something before they move on to the next step in the, in life. So they're stuck in this world, and you're supposed to, help them through that area in the spirit world. But they don't tell you like why you're there. And like the first 3 people that you come into contact with were like people that were really close to you in the material world. Like, I don't understand that so far. Like the first one you run into, it's like, hey, it's me. I think it's like a family friend, like a really close family friend. He's like, yeah, you remember me? Like, really
like
good
your
friends
uncle,
with your mom.
right?
Yeah, and then like the next one you meet is like a big frog, and he's like, you don't recognize me? It's Uncle Frank, your favorite uncle. Yeah, I was like, oh, what the heck? And then the next one you meet is like, I think it's another family member, and I was like, did my whole family die in a house fire? I don't understand. But they're like intentionally not telling me everything like at the beginning. So I'm actually a little intrigued at where that's going to go. But gameplay wise, it's a little slow, but I think that's kind of what I was looking for as like a, trying to make myself tired type of game. So I think it's perfect. You get to build little things on your boat. You get to choose where to put them, like different guest houses, and then the kitchen, and a garden. Then you upgrade the boat, standard stuff. And I don't have much else to say other than I'm enjoying it so far.
That's good to hear. I've seen that game. It's like the one like where you're on a boat, right? You're on a boat specifically.
Yeah, pretty 99% of the time. Yeah, you're on the boat.
Yeah. I saw that from like one of the Nintendo Directs, like indie Treehouse stuff, I believe. It looks great. It looks like a lot of fun, and the style of it looks pretty. I like the style.
I'm pretty sure I got through like 85% of that game, and then the end was just a too grindy for me. I was like, I'm not progressing fast enough. But I know there's people that really love that game, and I think like all the emotional beats and stuff do work, and they're cool, and it is engaging enough. But I was starting to hit just like milestones. I was like, man, it's gonna take me like 2 hours just to collect this material.
Yeah, it's like collect 100 maplewood, and you're like, I get like 7 per tree, and they're
right. Yeah,
there's only like 2 trees on this island.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
once
I
I
can see
finally
that.
get that, it would just give you like the next thing that you barely have enough of to collect. And I was like, oh, okay, I mean, maybe I'm playing it wrong. Like you might be playing that game a little more. The way it's supposed to be played is, you just play until you're like, okay, I did what I wanted to do for this run. But I was like, I want to beat this game, and it just
Yeah.
But maybe they fix some of that too, because I played it near launch, so maybe they fix some of the progression stuff. But otherwise, yeah, I really like the art style and the premise and stuff. It's cool. It's a cool game.
Yeah. I like that.
All right. Izayah, tell me about Ollie Ollie World. Oh no, actually no, don't do
Aw,
that.
dang.
Don't do that. You wanted me to say Wally. Tell me why you have Wally on your list.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear about Wally.
Ladies and gentlemen, back when I was, say, about 7, 8, 10, let's go with like just a minor.
Months old.
When I was a kid, I had the Xbox 360. My jam was Sonic the Hedgehog. But on a rare occasion, whenever my stepdad at the time would have a game like on his like library, I would look through it, and I found Wall-E. My God, I was like, wow. One of my favorite Disney movies as a video game. I played that game, I liked it as a kid, but I didn't play a lot of it. Because why? I was a dumb kid. Now as an adult, I'm scrolling through Steam, I'm looking at the sales. Disney's got a big sale, and then I spot, there it is, Wall-E. It's $8. I'm going to get it on my next paycheck.
$8.
It is on sale. It's on sale. And then like
I know, that's what I'm saying. It was on sale and it was $8.
yeah, like something like, oh sorry, six like $6.50 or something like that. Like whatever. And like the reviews. Remember, guys, there's a reason why Troy doesn't always like use reviews, and it's this is a great reason. This game has overwhelmingly, that's a 95% plus positive reviews like margin, and I was like, I'm buying it. I buy it. 104 minutes in, and I hate it. I hate this game, bro.
I wasn't expecting
You didn't. Did you take into account ironic reviews? Is that what's going on here?
I looked at some of them. Some were like just Eevee or Wall-E. Some had like 0.4 hours. And I was like, okay, here's the issue. When a game gives you an objective, and the tutorial like even introduces you to this objective, you're kind of already in the know that like, I think almost every level is going to have this exact objective, which is find this amount of boxes, break them, whether that be through like puzzle, a small one, or small platforming. You got to break the boxes to open the door to get to the next part of the level. I swear to God, this game just becomes monotonous in a way that I just didn't feel engaged. I didn't even start to care about the other cool parts that would happen, like playing as Eevee or getting to fly with Eevee and doing these like Star Fox linear like shoot 'em up, like even when I got to these parts in the game pretty fast, being through like the Wall-E, just destroy the boxes and move on, or use a box to throw at a lever and like do a flip, whatever. Oh hi.
You know what, Izayah, I totally get what you're saying. It's interesting. I'm thinking right now, I'm like, okay, when did you start playing video games specifically? Like around the PS3 era?
Yeah.
Because that was right around where licensed games started to die, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And you just have to know, there was like 2 decades worth of licensed garbage games that were all like this.
Except the Lego games with Star Wars. Those were still fun. Those are still fun.
Yeah, those are good. But anything that was like based off of a movie, like a franchise or anything like that, and made by certain developers, you knew exactly what you were getting. Exactly what you're describing right now.
Yeah, boys, like don't listen to the nostalgic pandering people on Steam, please.
There you go. There. PSA: please. Don't play Wall-E the video game.
Don't play Wall-E the video game. Play it. God, I said my word. I said my piece. This is my bad game of the month that I've played today or this month. I want to hand the mic to Josh. Josh, take it,
dude,
please.
We should have bad games of the month. That's really good idea.
Yeah, a couple months ago I had Sonic Forces. That was sure a delight.
You should have like a competition who can find the worst game.
That's easy.
Man,
All right, Josh, I
All
want to
right.
hand the mic to you, bro.
Why are you handing it to me? I don't have anything to talk about.
He's like, Fire Emblem took everything out of me.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Colton, you played the Octopath Traveler 2 demo as our resident Octopath Traveler guy in this podcast.
I did,
What
and
do
let
you
me
think?
tell you, I'm only an hour and a half into it, so this might not mean much, but I like it a whole lot so far.
Already?
I think, yeah. So when the Octopath Traveler demo came out for the first game, I played it, and I think they give you the same amount of time. I think you get 3 hours with the demo, just like you do with this one. And I played the 3 hours, and I said, "Oh, I freaking love this! I love the combat system. I like the items I was able to get. The characters were okay. The story was like, and of course at the time I was only 3 hours in, so I was like, the story is very whatever, I guess, it could be cool. And then, the story never got cool, I guess. I think the story's already started out on a way better note. I am only an hour and a half in, and I've only played one of the 8 characters that you can start with. But I started with the thief. I'm a sucker for thieves. And any time I get an option, I have to play the thief.
That's
But
true.
without spoiling too much, every character has like a little story, and like after like 30 minutes of playing, like a big climatic thing happens, and then your story kind of kicks off. Like you're a thief working for like in the really big, really impressive looking city. But I guess the games have always looked really good. Octopath has always looked really good. And
Oh, yeah.
this thing with the story happens, and I was actually getting kind of into it. I have not picked up my Switch though in like 6 days, so I'm only an hour and a half into it. But I do plan on playing more of it this week. But so far, I have a lot of positive things to say on it.
Do you think you're all in for the full release?
I might be. I just we'll see how much money I have after next paycheck I get. So I would like to get it and play it.
Okay.
But
Cool.
I'm not sure when I'll actually be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking to save money, I'll just say, because I looked up the reviews for here as someone who was very excited for the first one. JRPGs, love them. It's weird because Josh, did you play any bit of Chained Echoes?
I tried to play it. I played like 30 minutes to an hour, and I was like, huh.
Oh,
Not for me.
okay. If you end up needing to scratch that itch and you're waiting for it to go down in price, I would highly suggest you try out Chained Echoes on Game Pass, Colton.
Okay.
Because it was like, if I had the time, I would have devoured that game. That very cool 2D JRPG.
It does seem really like high quality for what it's trying to be. It's just not my thing. But Troy's right. Like if you're into that type of RPG, like it looks really nice, and the story from what I had seen so far was like better set up than most JRPGs have.
Before we continue, Josh, you guys can hear that too, right?
Yeah. It's Mike. Your connection's a little loose, Josh. So. Yeah, no worries.
I'm looking at it now. It does look. It's just from the video I'm looking at YouTube. It looks like it. I probably would enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, you check it out. But also, yeah, Octopath Traveler 2 that's the thing. Those games have always been lookers. Like I when I look at Octopath, I'm like, man, I wish I could really get into this, and maybe I should try the demo. Maybe it would win me over, but I just we'll see.
Yeah, it got better.
All right.
It got really good reviews though.
It did. It got good reviews, and a lot of people say if you weren't a big fan of the first one, they said this one might not win you over, but there's a lot that is better in it, and that might just be enough to win me over. So I am excited to try it. It's just you're right. The price is a little. It does hurt a little when I'm like, man, the first one came to Game Pass like less than a year later. Should I just wait?
No.
But it's hard. It's hard to make that call. I am going to talk about Blanc real quick while Josh is fixing up his mic.
Do it.
I want to talk about a game in his list.
Yeah, please.
So Blanc, I think Blanc is a little indie game that came out on Valentine's Day, so February 14th, and it's about a wolf cub and a deer. What is it, a fawn? What do you call a baby deer? Help me out here. Is it a fawn? Okay.
I think it's a fawn.
Well, it's a baby deer and a fox, and they lose their family. And so what this game is, it's kind of like It Takes Two. It's a co-op game, and I think you can only play it in co-op. So one plays the deer, one plays the fox. It has a really cool art style. It's kind of black and white, cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a few directs. And it released right on Valentine's Day. So I was like, okay, this might be a really cool game for me and Sam. Sam, when she saw it too, she's like, I want to play that. I was like, okay, yeah, we'll play that. And I think they released it on Valentine's Day very specifically. It worked. Yeah, it was very smart move because it worked. But yeah, it's just like a little puzzle platformer in kind of the same vein as like It Takes Two, just a much more simplified, shorter version of that. And we enjoyed it. It was just under 2 hours. Puzzles were pretty simple. It was a little glitchy in spots, and it is just running on Switch, so you kind of know what you're getting as far as like visually and stuff. So it does hitch up a little bit. It's really cute. It was a good 2 hours spent. Like I'm kind of torn because I want to talk about it critically. Critically, I'd be like, yeah, if someone gave it between like a 6 and a 7, I could see it. You know what I mean? But having the experience and not having it last like 20 hours, I'm looking at you. It Takes Two. It was really nice because it was just like something we did in an evening and we were done and we're like, wow, that was fun. That was good. Yeah. So it's really charming.
Yeah.
Really
it's definitely something I do want to play with Victoria. And because it being so short, there's a pretty high chance that we actually might be able to do that.
Absolutely. So. It's like the length of a movie. You know what I mean? So instead of a movie, you just sit down, you play out for one session, and it was totally worth it. It was good timing on their part. If it was released another part of the year, we might have just been too busy. But that was the night we set aside. So yeah. Blanc. It was really good. So Josh, are you back?
Testing. 1, 2.
It's still about the same.
Well, we'll roll with it. Josh, talk to me about Hogwarts Legacy.
The game.
I didn't even know, just before you start, I wasn't even clear that any of us even played it. I'm like, somehow we're not going to play probably what's going to be the biggest game this year as far as like sales and talking. But I'm glad you played it, Josh, so we can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed the transition Izayah was handing me so nicely off of Wally. Like, speaking of like just really mediocre like IP based games, Hogwarts Legacy is interesting. It's a very interesting game. I don't think I like it. Is that a good review?
Yeah. Damn.
I love Harry Potter.
It looks great.
Yeah, tell us more about your history with
visually.
Harry Potter.
My history with Harry Potter. I mean, like millions of people on this earth. I grew up with Harry Potter. Read some of the books. All of them. I'm a fake fan. I really was invested in the movies growing up. I always saw them like day one in theaters. This is not a Harry Potter game. I mean, it's in Hogwarts Legacy. It's Wizarding World, whatever. It's not like, I don't want to call it a cash grab. It's just like they took a big IP. I don't know anything about the developers really. Avalanche, whatever they are, like the not Avalanche.
They did the Toys to Life. They did like the one that did the Disney's Toys to Life game.
Oh, yeah, whatever that one was called.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name, but yeah, that's what they're known for sure. Recently,
yeah, it's weird. They took on such a huge, ambitious project, but honestly, it doesn't live up to that level. It's trying to be something much bigger, and they either had budget constraints, talent, restraints, or like just time. I don't know. There could be development drama. Something is holding this game back. It's like the lack of it's really mean. It's the lack of creative and like new ideas in the gaming space, because all they are doing is looking at successful gameplay mechanics from the past 2 decades and and picking the easiest ones to implement into an open world. They made a really gorgeous looking game.
Double jump.
There's not a double jump, but you can jump and like get on your broomstick, and that's fun. And everything flying around. There's a lot of really strange things though. When you're flying, you can't really go everywhere. Like you can fly around the world, but then you're like, I'm gonna fly up to this tower on the castle. You can't. It blocks you with an like not even an invisible wall. They put like a transparent yellow wall anywhere you can't go.
Oh, I love that. The invisible
It's
wall.
it's so ugly. The fact that I can see it, it's just like aura of orangish yellow saying that, oh, you can't access. It's like, why?
Do they play that off? It's like, oh, the headmaster put a spell around the tower so you can't fly up there or something.
I kind of wish, but at the same time, that leads me to another problem. There's no Quidditch in the game, and they play that off with at the beginning of the game. They're like, when you get to Hogwarts, it's like, oh, there's no Quidditch this year because like people are getting injured or some nonsense. It's like, okay, so they just didn't have the development time to put Quidditch in, or they couldn't figure out how to make it fun or something, because there's no real good reason for it missing.
Oh, and the sport?
Yeah, sorry, the sport. If you don't know, like in Harry Potter, the Quidditch is the sport that everyone plays. It's like their soccer or football.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no for it being missing, and that kind of is seen like repeated throughout the whole game. It's like, wow, they did the castle so well. They made the world feel like I'm in a Harry Potter movie, except everything is just a little off, and most of the world is missing. Like they only had time to really fill out so much, and I can't really blame them for that. But if you're gonna take on this massive IP, this massive world, like you got to be like top of your game, like best in the business. Like this is not the developer I wanted to see do this. I would love to see someone else do it, or this maybe this developer get maybe like co-develop with a different studio on the second game, be able to implement more interesting mechanisms and
considering how much this is already sold, like they're
it'd be surprising if there wasn't a sequel. Yeah,
but I feel like it's going to be very similar.
Are
Same
sales going to be
studios
like
and everything. Oh, dude, sales are like surpassing Elden Ring. Like,
dude, what?
Yeah,
I guess
like that. This game, this is straight up going to be the biggest game.
They can like coast on this basically, like, oh, we'll just do this again with a slightly different story. And
yeah, they can Pokemon this hard.
Oh my god, dude!
So far, I actually had a great game-breaking bug, and I had to start over like a 24-hour gameplay.
Nice.
So I wasn't able to progress as far as I wanted to. So I probably played for about, like 36 hours, something like that. But I had to start over.
That's a lot more than I thought you were going to say.
It's not the fault of the developer again. Like game breaking bugs happen, especially like I got the edition that let me play like 3 days early or whatever.
Oh,
so it's fine. I get it. Like I think I just got the first PS5 patch a couple days ago. Didn't fix the bug I had, so I still had to restart. That's fine.
Bummer.
But yeah, all in all, it's just I want it to be more than it is, and maybe I'm asking too much, but even still, if I remove the Harry Potter element from everything, it's a 5 out of 10 game at best.
Oh yeah, that's what I told Sam. It's like I was telling her why I wasn't going to touch this game. I'm just like, like I was late on the Harry Potter train. I read the books. I enjoyed the books. Then I watched the movies. I enjoyed the movies, but like, is it enough to make me play like kind of a mediocre third-person RPG? Nah, not really.
Like, if they did something interesting with the story and the characters, then maybe there'd be something there. But really, they're just like they're banking on nostalgia a little bit. They're like, oh, this is this person Black, and this is this person Weasley. It's like, yeah, I recognize those names. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like, you're just, I feel nostalgic because this person looks kind of like Sirius Black. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I know Dalton was talking about like the 5 seconds that we talked to him about the game. He said so far it seems like, maybe he was just talking about the side quests, but he said a lot of the quests just feel like fetch quests. Is there any truth to that? Like, do you feel that same way? I assume you're farther in the game than he is, so I don't know if that stays that way.
I kind of don't like boiling it down to that term anymore, because I feel like every open world game has fetch quests. This one
Sure, yeah.
has
That's not
those.
The Witcher 3. I get it.
I've been playing The Witcher 3 a lot recently, and it was actually a really interesting comparison. Like I just got to the last quest of Witcher 3. They're more similar than I would like to admit. It's strange. Like Witcher 3 it succeeds at
the main quest is
almost
very
everything
fetch
it
questy,
tries.
weirdly enough.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like silly quests to do in most RPGs, I guess is my point. Problem is Hogwarts Legacy doesn't have the big moments and the amazing writing of a game like Witcher 3 to carry you through like an interesting side quest with interesting characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Just blanket statement, it's just kind of mediocre at every step of the way so far. But I don't think anything that could happen in the story, especially for where I see it going, is like going to do anything to save that. Oh,
Yeah.
you like this was actually what I wanted to drive home. You cannot play a good wizard in this game. Like the actions that you do, and this was kind of seen in pre-release, but like
I
was
saw this.
hopeful. I was like, oh, they added like the unforgivable curses, and like that's weird. And really, the fact that there's like a trophy for getting all the spells, and 3 of those spells are unforgivable curses, is like, well, that I guess I kind of have to do that if I want to get the thing. But even without that's like, even if you don't use the unforgivable curses, you're just like murdering people, and it's okay for some reason.
Yeah.
It kind of breaks your immersion.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard thing to cross being a video game, though. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where this is all leading. Is like I would like a game set in a world this beautiful, where it's closer to Stardew Valley than it is The Witcher 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to simulate life at Hogwarts, but instead
Disney Dreamlight Valley. But
yeah, onwards. I'm gonna go with Stardew. You're thrown in as like a 5th year, so you don't even get that experience of like, I don't know what you would see in the books and the movies. You're just like, oh, I'm a 5th year, and you're special because of that for some reason. And you can see ancient magic. I'm like, shut up! I want to be a student, and I want to make friends, and I want to go on my own kind of like emergent adventures instead of these like really mediocre story beats that you've created.
Well, speaking of mediocre, Josh, you're still breaking up real bad. I'm sorry to inform you. So you might need to get out of Discord, restart your router, and see if you can.
You waited till I was done with that whole thing to be like.
If you listen back, you're gonna be like, they let me do that.
I can recommend something.
Sorry.
Can I suggest something which is gonna be extra work? But here, since like the audio was pretty choppy, I understood all of it. I think we all understood all of it. But for the audio listeners, if it's easier for them and maybe more work for you, Troy, we can have Josh just record like his own like separate audio file. Like, here's what I said, and like that snippet where I just had a bad router moment, and like we can just paste that over it if you want.
We can write it off. It was understandable. It was just pretty chopped out, you know. So it's fine. I get what you're saying, though, Izayah. Yeah, but yeah, Josh, just come in and come out. It won't ruin the recording or anything.
Okay.
I do find his take on Hogwarts Legacy to be both refreshing and grounded. I feel like with Josh's like point of view on games, he has a lot less patience for these kind of games anymore, and like just for any game. I've talked to him about this before, like at Taco Bell or whatever. But like when a game grabs interest, it does it for a good reason, like genuinely. So when I hear about Hogwarts Legacy just being kind of like a cash grab, kind of like you just have the IP, but not really do much to like the actual source material or for the source material, like I respect it. And but to like bounce off Hogwarts Legacy real quick, I want to just say one more thing and say I refunded Wally. Like after 104 minutes, this is my first ever refund on Steam.
Dirty.
Yeah,
what a refund
care.
It was. That's amazing.
$7.
All right, Josh, how we doing?
I don't know. You tell me.
No.
No. Are you using a router or your phone? Like your phone?
I use the same thing every time we do this. No. It's my phone.
Yeah. I would try like turning like going off airplane mode and then turning back on. If you're using your phone data, that sometimes can help. But we'll continue while you're figuring that out. All right. So let's move on to Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
Is it called Metroid Prime Remastered? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Which is an interesting way to say I would call Metroid Prime more of a remake than or I guess remaster. No, sorry. Remaster does make sense because Metroid Prime is a lot more like the Blue Point remakes.
Yes, I agree.
And so, like I said, this wording has gotten so muddy. So Metroid Prime Remaster just came out on the Switch. And what it is they take all the original code base from the Switch. I think it's from the Wii version. And then they just redid a ton of textures, like control scheme stuff. But like the core code of the game is still that original game, which is how Blue Point. Yeah, and that's actually going to feed into my point with the game. So my background with Metroid Prime specifically, because I love the 2D Metroid games, like love them to death. They're all really awesome. Metroid Prime is actually a game I've not played all that much of, and I will tell you why. I just missed it during the GameCube PS2 era. Right. And when I got back to it, it was I meant to always get that Switch collection, but it jumped in price so much and it was so hard to get that I didn't get it on the Wii either because there was a trilogy collection on the Wii. And when I finally got it, it was when they re-released it on the Wii U store.
Oh, that's unfortunate, bro.
That is it's you know, it's still the Wii version. It's just the Wii version, which was well reviewed.
I'm just saying you could have bought it for like a console, like that just came out. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. So I played it on the Wii when they re-released it for the Switch. That was just a port, and I just really had trouble with the control scheme. Like it just didn't feel natural. Even with the Wii pointer, which gave you some free control, but it just wasn't clicking with me. And the thing is with Metroidvanias is I don't have all the patience in the world for getting lost and feeling like I waste my time with games. So a Metroidvania has to be so well designed for me to stick with it and play through it. And if there's even like a small amount of gameplay frustration, it's not worth it for me, to take that time to do it. And that's what I was running into. I was just like, man, I like the atmosphere. Like I know this game is hit like a legendary status even back then. During the Wii U era and stuff, but and so I was like, man, I'm just gonna go play something else, And so when I heard there was a remaster coming, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to give it like a really fair shake. Especially when it was rumored they were gonna give it like dual stick controls, and man, it's a really great game. It shouldn't be surprising, but Metroid Prime is surprising me about how well it's held up. Because as I'm playing, first of all, the remaster is like an incredible remaster. Like runs at 60 FPS. The control schemes work. Like it's just one of those few games that it's just a rare game now that comes out on the Switch where you're like, wow, this runs really well and looks really awesome, and it does, even on Switch hardware. But the thing that just struck me is how well the game is held up, like in a design sense. Like even because in Metroid you turn into a ball, like a little marble at some point, and controlling that, like the physics of it just feels like awesome in a way I was not expecting. It doesn't feel clunky or anything. It feels like, wow, they could have just made like a Metroid marble game and I'd play that entire thing. And so I'm just really surprised how engaging and atmospheric and just really well designed a game is for it being like an older generation, GameCube game. So yeah, I'm just glad to have a version that I can finally experience this game. It was always kind of a big hole in my back catalog,
Yeah, it's something you've always wanted to experience, but like had a weird time with it, so you shelved it, which is valid. Personally, as someone who's played and is still playing it on the GameCube for my Wii, I still thoroughly enjoyed the game. I feel like that with like the immersion, and like the little things you can do in that game. So like scanning enemies and that sort of thing. I actually feel like I want to do that. And the way they translated a Metroid game to 3D space is so like it's just incredible. And the way you're backtracking and stuff, like all these abilities, like it feels crazy. It feels crazy playing a Metroidvania like in 3D, and it's just so much fun. I love that game. I would love to play more of it. But with Remastered being out now, it looks, oh my god, I can't believe how like I stumped myself like with like realizing this is a remastered game, and I was like, wow, this looks oddly prettier than the GameCube game.
Yeah, no, they did a really crazy like lighting and art path on it, and it just runs buttery smooth. But there's this certain feeling some games give you, like that experience where you're like, oh, I want to explore a cave or explore somewhere you're not supposed to be. Like Metroid Prime is just full of those. Like every time I turn into a marble and I like, roll into it and it rolls me past 2 rooms into another room, you feel like, oh man, like it just feels so good. Yeah. And that's a hard feeling to catch in a game.
Like wanting to explore and pass like the main game.
Yeah. Like you can clearly, like, this path was clearly like designed for you. This is where you were supposed to go, but you still feel like you figured something out or you're getting away with something.
I agree.
By like passing a barrier or getting into a room that wasn't like, that wasn't passable. And honestly, the way because the way the old game used to work, you didn't have dual stick control, so you had to lock on to enemies. And you can still do that. So the mix of being able to lock on but still have like free motion, free camera control, like the mix of it still works out really well, like the way, like it's hard just to shoot enemies like you would in any like modern shooter. Like it's not super accurate in that way. So, but the locking on still feels great and it still works pretty well. So yeah, Metroid Prime, legendary game, and I'm glad to finally have a chance to experience it. And it's just another. I'm definitely the one that's been calling like, man, I can't wait for the Switch 2. Like games just look crap, like garbage on this thing,
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'll play like Metroid Dread was the same way, but Metroid Prime, I'm like, okay, when someone really sits down and can pull everything out of the Switch very directly, you can still get a really nice looking game, nice looking game. And I think I need that reminder until the new Zelda comes out and I'm like, maybe I should wait.
Did you already say how much is this game on Switch?
$70. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought here's the game.
Please don't say 70. Well,
it's 40. It's 40.
Yeah, it's $40. So it's well priced. Yeah, it is. And it's not going to be the longest game, but for like a 12 to 15 hour game, like a really good game, it's it definitely feels like it's worth it. And side tangent, I for Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I did use the ticket program for Nintendo Switch Online. You get 2 tickets. So yeah, I did get Tears of the Kingdom, and then I got Tropical Freeze.
I was gonna do that, but like I take value in my physical copies genuinely. So, and it's also just free space. And so I'm probably just gonna pre-order it from like GameStop. I'm gonna see what they got for like the pre-order bonuses with Sonic Frontiers. They got like a nice metal case. It was like really cool. They have extras, by the way. And
they do.
Yeah, they definitely do. Oh yeah. But with Tears of the Kingdom, I heard they're gonna have an art book for GameStop, I think. So I'm looking to that. I'm curious for physical editions for games now.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
I think, man, we're about to hit we're about to hit a whole decade where I swore off physical games.
I understand.
I've been digital for a decade. Yeah. I don't. There are still advantages to having physical games, and not being the least the ability to sell them off and get some money back. I get it. But for the Switch specifically, man, I would have lost carts by now if I went all physical. Like,
it is so real. Out of like the 5 physical games that I have, it's kind of scary just like carrying them around with me.
Absolutely.
I know I'm just one day there's gonna be one that I lose.
and this is dumb, but it just feels so absurd and awesome just to have my Switch open and know there's just like 160 games sitting in that sucker. I just take it anywhere.
Yeah.
It is a very cool thing. It's just like, yeah, this thing's kind of rad still. All right. Well, let's see if we can get Josh back in. I think I know we have another demo there, Izayah. Do you want to talk about that before we get into the big game we have all played?
Yeah, for sure. So quickly, I actually discovered the game pretty recently. I follow a guy on YouTube that like does like kind of cool indie games that are like Souls-like, Metroidvanias, yada yada. He was talking about this game called Nine Souls, SOLS, by the way. That's Souls, SOULS. And it had that same feeling that I got from playing like Hollow Knight, another Metroidvania game, but had the elements of Dark Souls, not intentionally fully, but like it had those elements. And this game had like a much more like Eastern Asian like style to it, with like the music, the art style, and just the way that everything works as a gameplay. It looks so cool. It had that like, same kind of gameplay as like Hollow Knight, except you have like a bit more three-hit combo, and it feels a bit more linear in the game design department. But the combat of it is what really intrigued me with this game and the story. It's futuristic, like kind of cyberpunky, with a mixture of like, how do I explain this? Imagine Idaba from Persona 4 had a little bit of cyberpunk. I'll put it that way.
Okay, like a small town cyberpunk.
Village like
Oh man, what was that point and click game last year? Narco.
Norco.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Norcode? What? How do you spell that?
Norco.
NORCO. It's okay. You can keep going. That's just whatever.
I don't know how to fully describe this game, but everything about this game like just spoke to me. I was like, I want to look into this. I bought the demo, downloaded it, and I played it, and I genuinely think where this game is going to shine is, of course, in its gameplay with combat. Like, I was already interested in the story and how it's like kind of mysterious. You have this character who starts off with like almost like literally like losing a chunk of his face, like literally losing a chunk of his face in the beginning, and being kicked off from like this like high mountain from like this higher up person, and almost dying, then coming back to life, and you having to go through like this factory where people are sacrificing themselves. Oh, it's like Horizon Zero Dawn. They're worshiping an AI they don't realize that's just AI. That's what this game is kind of doing right now. Huh. And your character
that is pretty much every like village in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. It's doing that. And it's really cool how it's kind of going about right now, but the gameplay is like, again, like where I'm kind of like feeling it with the 3-hit combo, you dodge, you can parry, and that parry has a sour spot. So you have to be like, you gotta be on time, you gotta be quick. And when I was playing the demo, just like the regular demo, that it's like the first chapter of the game, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But what happens when you give me a boss and I'm really like able to like, all right, let me focus up on like the gameplay. When you beat the demo, you get this cool little like extra boss. It's a sneak peek to the future of like what you can expect from the game. And wow, that kicked my butt, dude. That kicked my butt. And I was really surprised how this one boss was so well designed all around that I was already like, dude, okay, whatever this game has in store, despite it being the developer's first game, I'm on board. Because I spent so long on that one boss, bro. But when I finally got it, it gave me that same accomplishment and feeling that Dark Souls, that Hollow Knight, that these games that are challenging but fun give you, where you have a hard time, but the more you practice it, the better you get. And at that point, it becomes secondhand nature, like habit. And it feels good. I'm excited for this game. It's on my
cool.
Yeah, it's on my Fantasy Critic, guys. Like I'm really hoping on it. It's gonna come out probably in April. They say on their website that's like that. That is the timeline right now. They're aiming for April release, at least 2023, probably second quarter, which is April, or third. So, honestly, go check out that demo on Steam. I really enjoyed my time with that game. So, yeah.
All right, Nine Souls developers. All of Izayah's hopes and dreams are attached to this game. Don't screw it up.
God, my fantasy critic's attached to this. I know. I'm really betting on this. Hey, also
he's not joking around.
Yeah, that Demon School. Did I show you that Demon School game on my Fantasy Critic, bro?
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, Persona 1 vibes for sure.
Oh, okay. I'll definitely look it up. All right, Josh. It looks like you're muted, but let's give your mic another go. Moment of truth.
All right, I think I found out the problem, and I don't think I fixed it. So
Hey,
how do I?
you
fix it?
You
sound
sound crystal.
You
clear.
sound amazing, Josh.
Oh, okay. Okay, there's two possibilities. I guess I got the right one. So cool.
You kicked everyone out of Netflix in the house. I get it.
Yeah, no, I just switched headsets. I think the mic was going out on that other headset.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what it sounded like because you weren't like it didn't sound like
It
the
didn't sound
internet
like a
was cutting
connection
off.
issue.
It was like constant. Yeah, because it was too consistent.
Like it was less of like
but-
a digital problem, more like a physical like wire.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm starting to think maybe Izayah had a point. Maybe we will just have you monologue on Hogwarts Legacy
right now.
All right, bro. No,
not right now. We can record afterwards if that's something you want to do. The listeners, you will know whether we did this or not because you will either hear Josh breaking up real bad, but you'll still get the point, or you'll just not know what we're talking about.
Instead of Josh, just have like that weird AI voice on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put up GameStop. I'm just gonna put up GameStop's review.
Yeah.
The audio of it.
Yeah.
I said GameStop. I meant to say
IGN, right?
GameSpot. Sorry.
GameSpot.
No, just get one of the
First one
customer reviews from GameStop.
Yeah. I'm just gonna read it off and be like, this is what Josh thought.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the big one. The big one, as in this is the only game on our list that we have all played. Game Pass probably has a good hand in that, but that is Hi-Fi Rush, maybe the largest shadow drop I can think of. Has there ever been a shadow drop of this level?
I don't know because Metro Prime already had anticipation following it, but it was still a shadow drop. But this
was a remaster too. This is just like a game we'd not heard of.
Exactly.
Did not know was being developed
by the developers of Evil Within, right?
Yep. Yeah. Tango
that is
Gameworks.
so weird.
So cool.
Yeah, it is wild. So this was dropped during like Xbox's game. What did they call that thing? I forget. It was like their developer showcase. I think that's Developer Direct.
Direct,
yeah. And it was pretty. I thought that thing was pretty ho hum. Like I wasn't super impressed by much of what I saw, but then when this game dropped, I was like, oh, like, whoa, what's this? And I think, I don't know, how did you guys feel when you first saw it, like in that trailer form?
Okay, so when I first saw it, I was like, okay, I can see a bit of like I've been burnt too many times by this idea where it's like the writing is a little too corny, where you're like, oh no, I'm a little scared. I was like, kind of dive in even deeper. But when you actually get into it, it's a different experience. But I was a little but the style, bro, I was like, oh, that does look good. That does sound good. I'm like, okay, give me a taste. So I was already on board with it most part. But what do you think, Troy? You were home, right?
Sorry. Well, Fred has a good point. Apex was a shadow drop. Apex is a pretty big one.
Oh yeah,
I agree. That's honestly a pretty crazy one too. Okay, so yeah, I had the same feeling, Izayah. I was like, okay, this looks like visually, this looks cool. But I was like, man, but the writing was kind of like, could this be like, super cringy writing? The gameplay, like I've played like rhythm action games before, and I have never like really grooved with them. Oh yeah. But so I was just like, man, yeah, this looks cool. But I could easily see it being like a 7 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like a game where it's like, well, the style is really cool, but the game itself is kind of like, like Recore. It could be like the next Recore, which was a action platformer that came out of Japan as well for the Xbox, and I was like, this could be cool, but right when that game dropped, like when you started hearing people talk about it, like out of the next couple of days when reviews started dropping, I was like, whoa, wait, people are like really loving this game.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had played maybe just like that, and even like maybe like about half of the first level. And I was like, whoa, okay. Like visually, this is like awesome, but I wasn't completely sold. And it wasn't until I saw everyone's reaction I was like, okay, I need to give this a go. I need to actually like play through this game. And once I got through that first boss fight, from that point forward, I was sold.
Yes. Oh my God.
What about? I mean, before I get into like my larger thoughts on the game, what about you, Josh? This
Like
seems like a
first
Josh. This
impressions?
seems like a Josh game.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. It just has that vibe. I don't know why.
You're a rock
It's like
star.
it feels like a game you would have looked at and been like, I want to play that. I don't know why.
I did. Whenever I saw the trailer, I was super excited. I don't know. I've never been good at rhythm games,
Right.
like extremely good. So this,
All right.
I really liked playing Guitar Hero, but other than
Heck
that,
yeah, you
whenever
did.
when I try to play like the Crypt of the Necrodancer, that game destroys me. Like I've
That
owned
game
it for
is brutal, dude.
yeah, I've owned
Really?
it for forever now, and I'll like hop in and try to play like the first level, and I just don't understand. Like my
Or
brain
Cadence
is
of Hyrule, same issue. Yeah.
yeah. I would love to buy the game, but I know it's like if it's just gonna be Crypt of the Necrodancer, I'm like I'm not gonna get very far. So no, I mean this game has the appeal of like the art style and everything. That is everybody's trying to like that tired comparison to Spider-Verse. And I
get
don't
more-
really see it with this one.
I get more of like a Saturday morning cartoon vibe, like a really good Saturday
It's
morning
like
cartoon.
Static
comic.
Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like Ben 10 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the art was very appealing to me, and it reminded me a little bit with like the gears you pick up of like Ratchet and Clank, and that brought some like
Yeah.
pleasant like nostalgic feelings. So yeah, I was into it
Oh,
from
yeah.
the get go.
Okay, yeah. It's some. You know what? If we just go into gameplay, you mentioned something about like not being great at rhythm games, and I think one of the smartest things this game does specifically is that even if you're not on the beat, it doesn't punish you all that much.
Right.
Like you get bonuses, you
Well-
get rated, but it's not like unplayable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not a punishment. It's just the lack of reward, which is really interesting, like psychologically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And when you do get that, when you take the time to like understand the rhythm of it and practice with it, you really get like that. I wouldn't even call it dopamine. You get that reward. You get that satisfaction. You get that. Oh yeah, this is it. Like you get that.
You get that high five rush.
You get that high rush.
You know what? Coming off of Bayonetta 3, it was a breath of fresh air for me, being like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
right, character action games, like just like a no, like okay, this game." I was about to say no thrills, but that's not true. So the thing that surprised me about Hi-Fi Rush is it took all my expectations. Like it's not like I'm not about to tell you this is like the best game ever made, like
Right.
automatically game of the year, blah 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 blah. What I will say is that all my expectations on every level were like topped by like one level. You know,
Exactly.
like the writing was just that much better. The animation, okay, I will say if there is one standout thing that was like above and beyond, anytime they had a cutscene, it's like maybe one of like the best looking and animated things I've seen in a game. Like
I
when they're doing
honestly, I didn't want the
God.
cutscenes to end. I was like, this is
Yeah.
fantastic.
So
Yeah.
amazing.
like the animation and everything. And you know what it reminded me of? I'm like, why is this so good? And I kept forgetting that this is a Japanese studio. And if there's one thing Japanese video games do really well, it's animation.
Yeah.
But it's just the art style is so American, and the way it just didn't like, it just didn't have that feel. But then I would remind myself, I'm like, okay, this is like a Japanese studio. Like,
Cool.
I feel like every developer had to go through animation classes or something to become developers.
I don't think the art team is Japanese.
Interesting.
I wouldn't be
I know
surprised
that-
if like the animation team is, though. I'm pretty sure that they are.
Okay, yeah, and the lead designer I believe is also American, or if not European.
Yeah. But that's even whether it was American or Japanese, it's just like really good animation in a way I don't expect.
I guess that's where that blend comes from, is that the studio is kind of mixed.
It is, yeah, and I feel like they really used it to their advantage here. But just like the writing and stuff, like the one time, it's funny you mentioned Ratchet and Clank. Like this game genuinely has like really good writing and good jokes and like comedic timing and stuff in a way that I remember like Up Your Arsenal having. Like all the weird announcements and stuff like the characters make and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's clever. That's funny. Or just like it's straight up like, like there were a couple times where I laughed straight up out loud,
Yeah.
That's what I do often. And that's like a really hard line to cross. Like just everything, like down to the combat, to the writing, to I'd say the weakest thing about it is its level design. It's very linear and in a way, I would have liked the levels to be a little bit more open and exploratory, and maybe the platforming felt a little stiff. But that's like the largest of its problems. Everything else about it is just really awesome. Just a really cool game.
Yeah, for real. And before I start my own tangent, I want to hear more what Colton thinks. Colton, you recently just started. I saw you play a little bit. Please give me your thoughts. Give us your thoughts.
So I mean, like everyone, when I first saw the game, I thought it looked really good. I thought it could look like a really fun game. I feel like most of the rhythm games I've played in my life, I've really enjoyed. I was just hoping that, because I also kind of had like, it could be like really corny, and I just didn't know how I felt about it. Just off the trailer, it's just the visuals looked really good. But I ended up liking it really quickly. I don't think I have a problem with rhythm challenges. I really don't think I do. And I think I can say that because I usually don't have a whole lot of challenge with them. I turned the game on hard just because I thought I wanted a little bit more of a challenge, and I thought it'd be more fun that way. And I think it is more fun that way. And I was having a great time until maybe 30 minutes we started recording for this podcast. I was just in the living room playing it, and I went to go buy a new move. And specifically, it's a move that you have to do in the air. While you're in the air, you have to hit X and then Y.
Yes.
And I could go in the air on beat, jump on beat, hit X on beat, hit Y on beat. And it says every time you hit a move on beat, it gives you that little confirmation. It's like perfect or whatever.
Yeah.
I hit Y on beat. It says perfect. Except it does that stupid thing where it slams me down into the ground, and I don't get to finish my move. And Izayah's like, "Oh, give me the controller." And he takes it, and he does it on his first try. And he'll do it 5 times in a row. And he gives it back to me, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, A, X, Y. And every time I hit Y, my character just slams to the ground. And I don't know why. And we did this for maybe 15 minutes.
We really did.
I was getting so frustrated.
It was really sad to see.
And every time I handed the controller to Izayah, he could do the move. And I'm looking, and then I get it, and I'm on beat. I mean, the entire game, and I don't have a problem staying on beat. I mean, every time I move my character, I think the character moves so slow. I think movement in the game is my least favorite thing of the game. But
You're
the character
dashing around a lot.
No, like all I do in the game is hit that 3 dash thing, dash, 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 and it's on beat every time. Like I have no problem hitting the beat, but for some reason I could not get that move. And the second we got in here, the second I got in here to get ready for the podcast, I went to Google. I was like, hi-fi rush, air combo X, Y, Y, Y. And there was like 7 things that popped up. And turns out a lot of people had problem with that combo specifically. And for some reason, if someone said, hey, if you're trying to do that, get your thumb off that left joystick. If that joystick is, barely off center, it'll cancel out the combo moveset for that combo for some reason.
That makes sense.
And apparently there's I read all this, during this podcast, so I haven't gone in there to look, but somebody said there's a setting where you can turn that off to where like the analog cancels out a combo while you're in the air. I don't know if that's true or not, but if there is, I'm going to go do that, because I promise you I was getting so mad. Every time I handed Izayah the controller, he did the move like 5 times in a row.
And I would tell him, like, I'm saying it out loud. Like,
maybe like at 1 out of every 10 tries I did it, I was able to do the move. And I was like, I'm not doing anything differently. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
It concerned me too. It concerned me because like when you would get indication.
Oh my gosh. And Izayah, I'm not saying you did it on purpose, but I would give the controller to you, and you'd be like, "Oh, you just have to hit A, X, Y on beat," and I'm like, "I know how to play the game, Izayah. I know what to do."
But I started sharing your frustration because like I see you doing it, but I'm like, that's not normal. This is not normal. Something's not right.
But and after I read that thing on Reddit, I was like, you know what? What I actually think I do, I'm trying to move my character at the same time while I'm in the air doing the move, because I think that probably is what the problem is. But that is my tangent, just because that's like the most recent thing that happened. It made me so mad.
No,
However, I am really enjoying the game. Other than that,
I feel like if you wanted to cancel out of a combo, you would just air dodge. Like that's what I would have done. I automatically would have done to cancel out of a combo. You know, that's how like the old God of War games work. Like I get it. That's weird. I wonder if I ran into that same problem, because I did buy that one. I tried it once and it didn't work, and I was like, I'll just use other stuff. What I will say though, I also will say the progression of abilities you get is really smartly doled out. And I don't know how far you guys are, but at some point you get a parry mechanic.
Yes.
And that parry
really
good.
So good.
Game changer. Like I play that entire game completely different from that point on. Even the way you fight enemies, they expect you to start parrying. In time to like beats and stuff. So yeah, definitely if you're feeling like a little like I'm on the fence like gameplay wise, wait till they give you that parry, and it's like oh, this is what this game was missing. Oh my god, okay.
That's kind of how I felt for the first 30 minutes. I was like, this is really fun, but god dang it, I move so slow. I hate when an enemy is on the opposite side of the room. I move so slow, and then like right before I was like kind of like, all right, I think I'm done with this game. I just hate moving.
I'm with you.
And then they gave you that little grapple thing, and I was like, okay, I'm back in now.
And they give you all kinds of stuff. Like they give you like support characters and different ways to deal with enemies, and once it all comes together with that parry, from that point on, it's like, okay, you got me. This is a really good combat system.
Yeah, dude. I love like comparing like my experiences with games to other games that I also enjoy. So when I picked up this game, it was all coming back to me from Devil May Cry 5, the video game to play, like that you should absolutely play. And every time I'm like the little design, I'm looking at like the combos, I'm looking at like just like the feeling of like of dopamine, like all like just glazing my brain when I finish off a fight sequence with an S or an A, and I feel good. I'm like, I feel good. Everything about this game, to like its environments being on beat, to its characters, to its animation from the moment you start, to its transitions from 3D to 2D, to these little comic book like style like little intros to your first chapter of the game, like whatever. Like everything about this game is well designed, first of all. Second of all, well paced, third of all, well looking, well sounding, well is not even like, no, great, amazing, spectacular. I freaking love this game. Now, I am kind of gassing up a little bit, but it's because every time I pick up this game, even when I get a little frustrated with combos, like I do in Devil May Cry, even when I do feel like I'm kind of like flopping here, bro, I'm losing my groove, when I try it again, and I'm like, okay, remember, your support system, your grapple, your parry, when you put all these together, it feels good. It tastes good. I love this game. And my God, I'm only halfway through it, I'm pretty sure. I got 3 more bosses to go, I think 6. I don't know. I forget the number it gives you, but I love how they're doing everything with this game, even with the writing and voice acting. Like, it's... You can see the little details.
That screenshot you did about the 720p thing was really funny.
Yeah, There's a moment in the game where I shared this with you, Troy. And the robot and like one of the levels.
I know.
So we're riding our camera, so 480p. It's unviewable. Like, yes, it's funny. It's good. And when I look at this game, bro, I just think about like everyone I look up to and like in like the content creators, like what they gonna think of this game. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, y'all gonna love this game. Y'all gonna like eat this game up. When we get to the game of the year, I'm putting it on there, bro.
It's a good length too. It really doesn't overstay its welcome. There's one level that I think lasts a little long and is a little bland, It's one where you have to fix like the power or something. There's a bunch of like mechanic robots. That level was like, it's not a lot going on here. It's going all along, but every other level is just like incredibly well paced.
How long do you think it is? Like 12 to 15?
Oh, probably a little shorter.
Shorter. Okay.
Yeah. I would say like maybe 11 hours max, probably 10 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a good length. And yeah, I would love for them to make a sequel. Like, screw Evil Within. Those games were never that great. That's what they should have made all along. If that studio had the
think
ability
about it,
to
we
make
could be on the
like
fourth Hi-Fi Rush.
I know. So yeah, I would really enjoy a sequel. And the thing is, it just does a lot of stuff older games did that new games would like try to monetize and stuff. Like at the end of the game, spoilers, it gives you all these like new ways to play the game, and like it gives you like okay, slight spoilers, it won't ruin the entire game. But at the very end, it gives you a store where you can you can buy clothes for all the characters.
Aw, that's
like
so
costumes
sweet.
and stuff. Like, so if you replay it, you can have everyone in different weird costumes, and it doesn't cost like, real currency. It's just in-game currency, which they give you a lot of. And it just reminds me of like a PS2 Ratchet and Clank game in a lot of ways. Just not exactly in its gameplay and stuff, but just like its sensibilities and its just the way it was designed. I don't feel like, first of all, it's on Game Pass, but I just don't feel like it's trying to bleed money out of me, or it just a really solid, pure game, and just happens to have some of the best animation I've ever seen in a game too, which helps.
Yeah. But bro, like again, like it's on Game Pass, yeah. But like it's $30. It's $30 on retail for Steam.
Oh yeah, I would have paid $60 for this. Like
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but for what you get, like Hollow Knight, $15, bro, full price of that too. Like these are great games. We recommend it. Please play it seriously, or get Game Pass.
Hi-Fi Rush is really good. Really good game. Any last words on a Hi-Fi?
Again, please play it. That's it.
I guess I didn't really say anything past my first impressions. I like the game a lot. I agree with a lot of what you said, Troy. I'm in the end game. I don't think I'm gonna go back and do all that extra content. I appreciate that it's there though for the people who like really like want to dig into it. I think my main miss with the game was some of the music choices and sound design, which I know is sounds like a huge deal for what the game is trying to do. Maybe I just don't share the same like musical like interest as the designers of the game. I just thought some of the choices were strange, and it didn't.
There was one. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say there was one song that I actually really enjoyed near the end. It was like the last level. I was like, oh, this is a cool song. We had like vocals and stuff, but yeah,
I
I'm with you.
I agree with you. Yeah,
I didn't vibe with the soundtrack choice itself.
Yeah, it was strange. So I mean, the fact that I still really enjoyed the game and I didn't really enjoy the big musical pieces, I think says something about
that
the
says a lot
quality.
about the gameplay, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I like the it's really dumb, but I was thinking every time I used it today before I got on the little grapple hook thing, whenever you like pull yourself to a thing, it does that little hi-hat noise.
Yeah, I was so bad at timing those. Like I would think I'm fine, and then I would just always miss it. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, like when oh god, what's that part of the drum? What's the part of the drums where like it goes?
That's the hi-hats.
That's the hi-hat.
That's the hi-hats. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I agree with like your like sound design like criticism, because I feel like that too for like part of it, and like with
I was saying I love that.
No, like Josh specifically.
I
think the song choices. I think the design, like the sound design itself, is really cool, and the animation that goes with it. It's just I'm more the style, like that kind of like early aughts, like alternative. Like they have like Tool and stuff in here, and
so
I'm just
weird. I really am like into that era, and yet I still thought there was some missteps. So like this could have been so like the vibe of
you could have been fighting the last boss to Breaking Benjamin.
Some of the songs are just really mellow, and it was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
it didn't feel like a fight. That's it. That's all.
I get it. Yeah, good game. I would love a sequel.
Or just a cartoon.
Or just a cartoon. Yeah, honestly. Like the characters and the villains were that good, where I'm just like, this was like just like a hour and a half movie, I would have thoroughly enjoyed this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a comic, like any social media that's like besides a video
Which
game, this would thrive in.
Which
Yeah,
is just the
milk it.
hardest, honestly, the hardest thing to do. There are plenty of games that play awesome and look awesome, but a lot of games, like most games, do not have great writing, especially when they're trying to be
Yeah.
funny.
I
You
agree.
know?
I get that.
Yeah,
Or-
I'm a sucker for
So-
funny robots in a video game.
Oh yeah, and there's
They're
plenty of that.
great.
Boys, man.
Oh, dude, the fridge, the tutorial fridge.
Oh
So
yeah,
creepy.
what is
that
he,
little dope.
Glitch? Or something,
Yeah,
whatever. his dumb name is.
something like that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
him. He's great.
He invaded
Uh,
privacy every 5 minutes in that game, bro.
yeah, he's the fridge. The fridge is the character of the year for sure. All right, guys. Why don't we just take a quick break and we'll be back, and we're going to be looking just at the next 3 months. We're just going to see what's coming out, see what interests us, and we'll see you in a little bit. And we're back. All right, guys. Everyone get a good snack?
No,
Dr. Pepper, cherry,
No.
Coke,
I
zero
sat here the
sugar.
whole time. I was
Did you-
waiting.
Dr. Pepper is zero sugar. You know, Dr. Pepper is such a Texas thing.
Yes.
I realize
I
that
just
moving
drank
away.
one.
It is.
Yeah, so good.
It is. I don't
Okay.
know what it is, but like pickles and Dr. Pepper.
Barbecue water, man.
Hey man, if you sip pickle juice, you feel a lot less hungry momentarily. It feels great.
Okay, yeah, I'll
It's
keep
like
that in
sipping
mind.
everything. But okay.
Oh sure, yeah. But like, it
If you
actually-
eat enough of this, you will not be hungry.
All right.
basic human need does the basic human need function.
All right. So our next subject is we're going to be looking at the next 3 months. And I just want to know what you guys are planning to play, what looks interesting. We're going to run through this list real quick. So it's funny because we were just talking about how many games have already come out. And as of tomorrow, there's 2 interesting games that are coming out. And so Atomic Heart reviews just dropped. I had been looking at this because it has a real, I don't know, something about the way it looks and the designs and stuff. I was like, man, this looks really weird. So I was a little disappointed to find out it was a pretty straightforward like shooter. So I may pass up on Atomic Heart, which is a bummer. 'cause
I was really thrown off by like the weird, sexy mannequin things in the trailers. I was like,
They're sexy
Shame.
mannequins?
yeah, they're like,
oh,
Oh, sign me
you
up.
have
bro.
Isaiah's attention.
what was it? Yeah, no, it's an interesting aesthetic, but
Yeah.
if the gameplay
It
is
might-
not there,
And I was gonna say it might help that it's on Game Pass because you can totally just download it, play it for a few minutes, and decide. You know, so it might.
like, downloading it for me is a big
Got you.
ask.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I'm poor.
All right. Like a Dragon Ishin. Colton, you recently found a
I
love.
would- Yes, I would love to play this game. This might be another one. Well, that seems like 99% of the games that come out are the type of games that I kind of have to wait to buy. There's kind of
Sure.
a few games that I buy day one. But this is one that I almost want to do it. But I might have to wait a couple months before actually playing this. And hopefully not longer than that. But I do look forward to playing this game later this year.
Yeah, you might find yourself in trouble when you have 2 straight up Yakuza games come out this year, and they're all real long. Yakuza games are just known to be very long.
Well, then I'll just have to pick one, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anything else jumping at you guys? I know. Okay, because I know PS5 VR 2
Yes,
is coming out.
And the fact it's coming out on my birthday should be a sign that I need to get it.
Bummer.
I'm not rich.
Yeah.
So
I kind of have to wait for a price drop and a few larger games to come out. You know,
I agree. Yeah.
I want it so bad though.
the device looks it looks so good. Like
It
they
does.
did everything right, but man,
I am concerned though, because from what I saw from the IGN's review of like
Has-
the hands-on stuff, did it really like say that you're not able to play the previous VR games? That
oh
were
yeah,
for-
yeah.
that's real, dog. That's
Yeah, because the technology base is so
Oh.
different, the way they're tracking and the way they're doing everything. It was kind of a necessary evil, But yeah, that does kind of suck that the back catalog is kind of cut off too.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, it does have some Mad Vita energy, I gotta say, like an awesome piece of tech, but very uncertain whether Sony's gonna support it in like a really big way, you know? So that's what's kind of scaring me off too, is just like I was a day one Vita owner and I know how that went down. So
that makes me even want to be part of that crowd that, tries to support the thing, but I just
and some of my favorite devices were ones that had that didn't do well but had some really cool things about it. Like I love the Wii U and the Vita, so it's just $550. It's more than the console. It's kind of brutal pricing wise, but yeah. All right, well let's keep going down the list here. Anything jumping out at you guys?
I think I'm gonna try out that Kirby's Return to Dreamland.
Me too.
Deluxe.
Okay.
I know it's not like the greatest Kirby game ever, according to the internet.
Sure.
Why would I trust that?
Yeah.
But alongside
Wally was a good game.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, bro.
So then if they're saying that Kirby's bad, then it's great.
Exactly. I'm saying don't trust the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Alongside Metroid Prime Remastered, like I kind of want to pick up both of those together and kind of dive into that GameCube Wii era.
Ooh, Switch time.
Yeah.
I just got the Switch Online renewed for like the expansion pack. I haven't had the expansion pack before. So I'm really excited to like dive into that stuff as well, like new Game Boy Advance games and stuff. So I'm going to be pretty heavy on Nintendo in the next few months.
Yeah, since Dalton's not here, I can say this, but Game Boy and Game Boy Advance is a much better reason to come to the
oh my God. I'm on Dalton's side. I'm on Dalton's side.
The Game Boy Advance has such a good library of games. Like
I'm there for the Genesis, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go.
I'm totally joking. I
was gonna slap you. You can literally buy the entire catalog off of the shop right now if you really wanted to.
You absolutely can.
Yeah,
all right, well, let's keep going. So on the third, we have Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and I'm really torn. I did not really click with that initial demo. And a part of me was like, oh man, just one less really long, big game I have to worry about in the year 2023. And then now people are like online are starting to be like, no, this is like really good. Like they're doing really. I'm just like, no, don't say that.
I didn't vibe with Neo at first. So like, I'm hoping maybe that's kind of what you're experiencing with their change in direction, but maybe it'll grab you like a few hours in.
Yeah, totally. Like they always release that initial demo and they change a lot from there to now. So it could be. I just could not figure out whether that game wanted me to parry, to dodge, to be aggressive. Like everything I tried didn't feel great. So I feel like maybe once I see more impressions and see how am I supposed to play this game?
Yeah.
I might be too trusting at this point with that studio. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Neo 1 and Neo 2 are like freaking amazing games.
Yep.
Like gameplay wise, so good. All right. I'm looking down anything else in March. It looks like we have a pretty big gap and stuff that I'm super interested in.
I got two indie games I want to quickly touch on. Just real quick, on the 1st of March, we got on all, besides Nintendo Switch and PC, we have on, actually it might be on PC, Bendy and the Dark Arrival. That first game that this team did, that the original creator did for Bendy, that game wasn't very good. Even when I saw as a kid and watched the reviews come in, I wasn't very impressed with it. But now we're gonna get instead of an episodic game, we're gonna get a full release. It actually looks a bit better. I feel like the story might look a bit more cohesive rather than this some weird deep that makes you really think about it, huh? No. I feel like this game is gonna be a finished and polished game from what I've seen of it. But I've been stung before. I'm not super high on it. But beside that, Ebe. This game came out in 2012 on just for free on a website. or indie horror RPG. It's one of those games like Yumi Nikki and Off, and those kind of games. And I loved it as a kid. I loved playing it. The way the atmosphere mixes with its kind of like eerie like character designs and like levels and puzzles. Like everything about that game with like its like theme, it sticks to it. It's consistent. It's pretty fun, but it's also really interesting with the sort of like spiral you go down the story of like living in an artist's mind. You're in a dead artist's mind, and it's like all these paintings they did and everything like that. You're like into their museum and all that. It's really cool. It's a really cool indie horror RPG. I recommend it. It comes out March 9th on Nintendo Switch. It's already out on PC. It's already got an English patch. Look for it, guys. Like, look out for that. It's a cool game.
Oh, I'll check that out. I read it as Ib. I'm like, oh, the sequel to Ib and Ob. Finally.
It's a French name. It's Ib.
Ib. Okay, cool. I think the Nintendo Switch is a really cool place for indie horror games.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't take a lot to run. Like you can run them on a light laptop, but they're just it seems to be like a cool home as of recently for that sort of thing.
Yeah, even Mad Father, like the same kind of game, like Ib, is on Switch.
Like you're way more locked into that stuff than I am, Izayah. So it's when something like that comes to Switch is when I first like hear about it or start looking at it. So I'm glad that that's starting to happen because it surfaces it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, this pretty flat until Resident Evil 4 comes out, and Resident Evil 4 is like what I'm looking at. Honestly, I'm looking at that. I'm like, yes, that is the game that month.
Looks great. It looks.
What are we gonna say? It's all those Resident Evil remakes are like the best games of that year they come out. Well, maybe not 3, but I still enjoyed 3. But yeah, Resident Evil is just on such a streak. Capcom in general is on such a winning streak that I don't think they can do anything to make Resident Evil 4. It has everything going for it. That game's going to be freaking huge.
It better give me good points on Fantasy Critic.
Yeah,
dude.
It will.
Look for your like above 90s on that one.
I will say
right now I'm set at -3, so I think
it might be the only game to give Hogwarts run for its money as far as like sales and stuff.
As like the top sellers for the year.
Oh,
or the top scorer for the year.
Both.
I would be surprised as far as sales.
I would be too. Yeah, dude. There are Harry Potter fans will buy a PS5 just to play that one game and let it collect dust on a shelf. So you might be right.
I will say, excuse me, sorry. Pardon me. I will say, Resident Evil 4, I really wanted to keep that kind of cringy, at least a slice of the cringy. Like,
they're keeping the castle. They're keeping the castle. Like, they got to do something.
Yeah, because, like, the original game, bro, so funny. Like, even it's not making it to me, it's so funny. Like, when, like, the game really, like, picks up, like, at the beginning, or like the whole entire town leaves and like they go to like the church, and whatever. Leon just looks around. He just like shrugs and he goes like, "Where's everyone going? Bingo."
Oh yeah. Well, even the original remakes kept some of the weird dialogue and stuff. They didn't stray away from it. And even like Resident Evil 8 is just such a ridiculous plot. Like just some weird funny stuff happens in that not awful in a good way game. Like I feel like they've really kept their campy side. They're not trying to be over serious, if anything. Resident Evil 7 did that, but all the remakes in 8 and stuff is like super campy in a fun way. So I feel like you'll be pleasantly surprised. If they kept the dance, I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing for Final Fantasy at the end of the year. I was like, are they going to keep that weird dolphin scene? I don't know. All right. Anything else on this month popping out to you guys?
We're still in March, right?
Yeah.
Have a Nice Death looks like it's coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yes. After my birthday,
I would like
right?
to try that out.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into the what is it called, alpha, beta, whatever it is. Early access. I haven't really checked it out, but it just has such a cool art style and looks like it's trying to, take inspiration from maybe Hollow Knight and things like that. So I'm excited to see what they have there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're moving into the last month we're going to cover today, and that is April. Because I think once you start getting into like the summer, you kind of have to wait for E3 to know what the release schedule starts looking like. It seems like sometimes later, like Sony and Nintendo are perfectly fine to make you wait till like September these days. But first thing that pops out, anything I'm trying to look real quick while I'm talking. There's a couple I put in. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm curious how people are gonna feel about Hogwarts Legacy on last gen.
Oh my god! Yes, I can't wait.
I'm curious how that is gonna go. And also, I think my biggest, I mean,
Nintendo Switch, dude. How's that thing gonna look on Switch? That's supposed to come there too.
Dude.
That'll be weird. My biggest thing for April, I think, is Minecraft Legends. The more I see of that game, the more I think I might like that game.
I try my best to look into that studio. I'm not 100%. It's not the same guys that did like the previous like Minecraft spinoff. Not the same guys.
Wait, but they're partnered with Mojang, right?
Yes, they're partnered.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still like it's not like they got just a complete third party studio to do the whole thing. So, but I get your point. It's like it's not the same exact team as Dungeons, right?
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's a different team.
I want this game to be good, but I don't know. I'm not 100% on it. Like I'm genuinely like cautious. But
I'm confused.
I do like the look of it.
Yeah, I'm confused what you're actually doing. Because they keep talking about like multiplayer stuff, and I'm like, wait, I thought this was like a.
Me too. I thought it was going to be like a kind of like a hybrid RTS that is pretty easily controllable with like a controller. But the more I look at it, I'm like, I don't think I want to play this if don't have like a mouse and keyboard in front of me. You know,
I thought they were trying to fill in that like Halo Wars gap.
Totally, yeah. And I was like, I'm into that. But the more I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is like an honest to God RTS. So good for the RTS people. But yeah, like you said, like the multiplayer and that, I was like, it's not really what I was looking to do. Because
it's like a higher player count than I was expecting for the multiplayer as well. I want to say it was like maybe 6 to 8. I might be wrong.
I mean, it could be a freaking blast too. Like who knows? So
yeah, maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. To see. There's a lot of Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot. I wish I would have I have it on my list. I'm excited to get the points from that. But I don't think I'm gonna have the time to play it.
I bid $1 because I was like, I kind of want this, but I'm really afraid it's gonna come out and people are gonna be like, not as good as I remember.
I probably just bid $1 2 days before you did.
Yeah,
that's why I got it.
I looked into it a bit more, and WayForward. I'm obviously familiar with their work. I played some of their games, and I like some of their games, but their other work are kind of hit or miss.
Well, so WayForward,
their best game though.
It's also publisher.
Whoa. So WayForward is remastering this, but this is This is the Fire Emblem team that made
what?
Wars. This is WayForward is just kind of doing the remaster work, but this is like the bones of this. This is. They came off of making Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance, and they made Advance Wars. So they were going in between those two for a while.
I swore off this game because I thought like it was like it'd be a hit or miss. Because like the original game is an actual hit. It got really well reviewed, but with this like what is it, remake, remaster? I don't know.
It's like a combination of 1 and 2, but yeah, the core mechanic stuff. This is like the Fire Emblem team when they were hitting on all cylinders,
Okay, yeah. Because now you say that, now I want this game on my list.
Yeah. People love Advance Wars, dude. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't care for Fire Emblem, and they're like, "Why can't intelligence systems go back to Advance Wars?"
I'm kind of excited. Like, maybe I'll like it more than Fire Emblem. So.
Oh. Well, at least the newer Fire Emblems. I'm just sad there's not a good way to play like Awakening and the GameCube and Wii Fire Emblems. Because the GameCube and Wii, if you're looking for a good story in Fire Emblem, dude, that story and the writing and stuff is really good. In a way that all the handheld stuff wasn't. But all right. I'm curious about The Last Case Benedict Fox. I put it on my trailer list last year. It's now on my fantasy list, and the previews look really cool.
Sounds
they showed a really it's a Metroidvania that kind of has like it doesn't look like Ori, but like the technology looks like Ori. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't know
just
how
the
to
way it's like
describe that.
animated. But the thing that really sold me, dude, is they showed a picture of lock picking a door, and it's this really gross zoom in of like a fleshy like door with teeth, and you're like picking his teeth or whatever, and it goes from 2D to 3D, and it's real nasty looking. And I was like, God, that looks so cool. I'm like, okay, I'm in. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but if it ends up being as good as it looks, then it could be a really cool surprise.
Yeah, this
hit.
is one of the more interesting trailers for when we did that episode, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am looking
You
forward to
picked
that.
that one up, right, Troy?
I did.
Yeah, I was
think
thinking
it's
about
a
that
little bit of a
one.
risk.
Yeah, I'm like, it could be amazing, but it also could just be a 6 or a 7.
Because remember that remember the game last year was the art director of Inside
Somerville?
and Limbo, Somerville. Yeah, like when I looked at Somerville, I'm like, oh, slam dunk, that looks amazing. Like,
Yeah.
and then came out and I was like, oh, okay, maybe
That's
not.
exactly the game I thought about before I bid on this.
Exactly. I'm like
"Ooh."
risking it, dude. I was like, this could be another Somerville, but it also just looks friggin' rad. So
All right. Yeah.
yeah.
I like the Cthulhu like space god theme or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks cool.
All right. So a lot like Resident Evil 4, the big closing game at the end of this month will be Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh,
if
God,
it doesn't get
man.
delayed.
It already did.
Yes.
This is its delayed date.
Yeah.
Okay.
6
So,
weeks pushed
think they'll
into
get this.
April.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the game
I-
that we might get day one just because Victoria liked the first one so much.
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah. It is. It's a totally solid game. Absolutely. I actually really like that we're starting to get into an era where they're leaving behind last generation. You know, like completely. Like that's why I think Dead Space can look so good.
Yeah, I didn't know that game was going to be next gen only.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I really hope that opens up like the level design to where you're not squeezing between corridors and just
That's
I just
my
hope.
favorite part.
Yeah, I know, of course. I love seeing the close up of this guy's shoulder, this robot. But yeah, I my biggest thing with Star Wars Jedi Survivors, I really hope they tightened up the gameplay, because you could just tell like all those dudes just got fresh off of Sekiro and were like, we're now going to make a Star Wars game,
Right.
and it just, when you put it in that, when you compare it to that, it kind of looks bad. But I thought overall, like the characters and the writing and the art style and stuff really worked in that first game. So just put it together with the gameplay and boom, you have a really solid game. So
Yeah, easy as that.
Honestly. Like it has everything going for it. All right, and I think that ends April. Unless you guys have anything else that we missed in those months or this month.
I miss my wife.
Oh,
I noticed no one said Dead Island 2.
Oh, you know what? I have
Yeah.
no history with Dead Island 2, but I know two people at work that are not crazy into video games that are looking forward to buying that game.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it's
that's
always those
totally
people.
that game. It's all
Yeah.
dude. That sounds like the perfect scenario for Dead
Oh,
Island 2. Because the
Part of
first
me
game
said it'll probably sell pretty well, I would assume.
it's like
The
every
first-
deep silver game. It was just like
Yes.
everyone was talking about it except for the people like really into video games.
Yeah. What I say is Dead Island 2 fell so Goat Simulator 3's trailer could soar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where Dead Island 2 is in my head. But yeah, you're onto something there, Josh. There is just like certain games where you're like, of course your buddy from work that won't stop talking about the zombies mode from Black Ops 2 is really into this game. Like yes, of course. I love that. I wish we could identify those games like easier, but you kind of know it when you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had like relatives on my wife's side that came to visit, and they're like, "Oh, you're really into video games? What do you play?" And I told them like all the stuff I was playing. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we play like Hunted Showdown or whatever that game is called. Like that's pretty much all we play all the time." And I'm like, "I've never heard of this game. I don't know what this is."
What Hunted Showdown? Wait,
Hunt
what?
the Showdown is kind of, I think it has like some battle royale stuff going on with it.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
so clueless.
if I believe. But yes. All right. Well, let's wrap this sucker up because we've gone on a bit here. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Get off Twitter. Play Hi-Fi Rush.
Goodbye. I'm not bad at rhythm games.